This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. Good morning once again. Babu here. I'm just trying to share my screen. Just confirm me. Is my screen is visible now? Yes, no. Okay. Let me create a script file. Okay. So let me open the command prompt and then change this directory. I hope this command prompt is visible, right? Yeah. Fine. Also, I'm creating a script file. So here day 15 underscore script dot py and then save as type. I'm using all types. Okay. Fine. So in the last session, we discussed loops concept, like we understood for loop how to use, and then we will see now today collections, that is something data structures in Python. Generally, in programming languages, we have a concept called arrays, right? Array. Tell me, what is array in programming language? Any idea, anyone? What is array? What is an array here? In programming languages, whatever language, or no idea. Okay, collection of similar data. Hmm. So something collection of similar data, collection of homogeneous data. These are, which means if you are defining something integer value, only integer type, or only float type, or only string type, similar data, similar type is actually array in programming languages. So collection of similar data is array. So similar data means, as I told, like if you want to write something 10, 20, 30, 40, this is only integer values, or only float values, or only string values, combination. But in Python, the similar concept, by default, we have list and tuple. Let's try to understand what is list in Python. List in Python. So if you see list in Python, collection of any data is list. So see the difference. Collection of similar data is an array in programming languages. But in Python, similar concept, we have list and tuple. We are only understanding first list. List is actually collection of any data. Collection of any data. So which means what? You can write like this. Collection of any data means it can be a combination of integer values, float values, list value, like string values. Or you can write only integer values, or you can write any combination. So by default, we have this list concept in Python, but list is a collection of any data. But let's say if you want to write strictly like this, then we have a separate module for that. We use a numpy. But generally, what is list in Python? List is a collection of any data. So collection of any data. It can be a combination of. So collection of any data means it can be integer values, float values, combination of anything, string or boolean, whatever. And how we define this list? So list we define, okay, between a square bracket with comma separated values, or we call it as items. How we are defining list here? Within a square bracket with comma separated items, comma separated values. So I'm writing some variable name my underscore list equal to simply I'm writing square bracket. Any value you can write it 10 comma 20 comma 30 comma 40 comma combination also you can write Python comma something 2.5. So list means any collection of any data. We already discussed the scalar. Scalar means what? It holds only one value. But now more than one value, simply collection of any data, or simply what? More than one value. If you write, that is called list. Or more like two or more scalar values. Or even you can write single value also, right? Single value also you can write as a list. It is also possible. So basically, the purpose of list is to define multiple values. If you want to write single value also, you can write it. But why we write single value? Maybe in future I'm going to add new value, one more value. Then it treats like a list. So we define variable like this. See my list, any name you can write. I am writing my underscore list, and then value should be between a square bracket. This is called list, or we call it as a indexed array. This is an indexed array. And when we define this here, list like this, how to print the values from here? You can simply use print, and then variable name my list. So if I use my list, it prints the complete variable as it is, the complete values as it is. Now see Python and then day 15 underscore script dot py. Now you can see the values it is printing as it is. But tell me how to print line by line now. I want to print this all the values one by one, line by line. How to get that? How to get line by line? Using with for loop, right? We discussed that in the last session. So we use a for loop. Now, if you are using index, then not possible directly because we don't know how many values available. So best practice, we use a for loop. So for I in something like this, and then my list, and then print. I define a list, and then I'm trying to print all the values one by one using with for loop. So this is clear, right? How to define a list and how to display the values from the list we discussed. And in the strings concept, we discussed already in the strings concept, we have an index part. So we can access any value from the list based on index or reverse index. Okay. So we know that index generally starts with 0 and reverse index starts with -1. So now the first thing, whenever if you are trying to access index or reverse index, we should get the length. So len is a function. So len is to get the total length. See now, I have multiple values. So generally, what is the purpose of this list? Let's say, for example, see, assume that assume that you are going to the vegetable market. Okay. If you are going to the vegetable market, first what generally we do, we write all the list of items what need to purchase. So now here I'm just taking some random vegetables. So I'm trying to buy some vegetables and then I'm trying to write a list on the list. So something list here, right? So veg list equal to something we are defining. What are the list I'm trying to take now? So we have something like this: beetroot, onions, cauliflower, garlic, salads, cucumber, tomato, right? Carrot. So I'm just writing like this: carrot, and then onion, and then tomato. Something list I have. And then what else we have? Garlic. Okay. So this is the list of items. The list of items, how we are defining? We are defining in a list. So the list of items we are defining now. But now, total how many items we are going to purchase? I want to check that total list. So print. Here we have a total items, right? So total length is alien of page list. If you see the total list now, there are 4 items. Okay. So now I want to buy one by one. I want to buy one by one. So what is the first item? So index number. Print page list. From the page list, what is the first item? Index number 0. What is the second item? Index number 1, index number 2, index number 3, like that we provide. We are actually checking item by item. And then if you check now, all the list here one by one: carrot, onion, tomato, something, garlic. So whenever if you are writing the list, like assume this, I have a something employee list. All the employee list I want to write in a list variable. Student names, all the student names. And then assume water list. Something group of items or group of names or group of elements or group of values, whatever it is. If you are grouping something, that is called list. right? So let's say, for example, I want to see all the college list in Hyderabad. So all the list actually from how it is getting something like this is something what it is grouping collection of items. It is grouping something. All the list of items we write in a variable that is called list. Right? I want to see all the temple list in one area. So that is a list basically, right? So list of names we are writing in a variable. So if you write like that, whenever you want any specific value, you can get with a specific index number here. Not only accessing the value, and list is immutable here. List is immutable. So we know what is mutable. We can edit the data in the same reference object as well, right? Now, let's first try to understand here. First index we understood, and then let's see how to use something. I want to print some portion of the values. So that is something slicing. I give underscore here. Say this is underscore again. Wedge underscore list, something like that. Okay. Varshit. This is underscore, not hyphen. Okay. It's underscore. Okay. So my list I have this, and then I want to print 10, 20, 30, 40, some portion. Maybe assume for your best understanding, something wedge and we'll take something like this. So see, this is the wedge list here. Also, I'm going to take something fruits list. Okay. So, but I'm writing all in one list itself now. All in one list. So while writing all in one list, you can write just a wedge underscore something fruit. Something fruit list I'm writing like this. See now, I'm taking first is all the wedge list. See, try to understand. I'm just writing directly in the square bracket and then comma. Maybe I'm going to add something like a fruits also here in the same list. Something I'm writing like apple, banana like that. Okay. When I print, it will print the complete list, but I want only the vegetable list. And vegetable list here, I have 4 items vegetables. Only I want to print veg list. So print veg list. Okay. So how we can print now the variable name veg underscore fruit of then index number 0 colon. So 0, 1, 2, 3. So always the last one it excludes, right? So I'm just writing 4. So the only veg list I'm trying to print first. I can see the veg list here: carrot, onion, tomato, garlic. I want to print the similar way, only the fruit list. So you can write just from the 0, 1, 2, 3 from the fourth. So 4 colon I want to write like. It just prints only from the fourth, only fruit list I am getting. Getting my point, right? Whatever. The spelling is not a matter here. The concept is a matter. I'm not concentrating on the spellings. Please try to understand that. I'm concentrating on the topic. For your understanding, I'm giving this. So I hope you understood this now, how we can actually write the list and then from there, how to segregate the separate list. So this is my combination of veg and fruit list, but I'm trying to print first only the veg list and then something fruit list. If you want, we can write this as a two-dimension array as well. But we don't have a concept of two dimensions directly in the list. That is actually possible with numpy. But let's say if you want to treat this as a something two dimension, okay, let's say I want to write separately only fruit list, you can write this in a one square bracket. And the second one, another square bracket here. So what it means now, I'm just writing separately all the veg list. I'm just writing separately here on the something fruit list. Getting my point. Now see here, that's the reason we separated now. So that is the reason we separated. I want all the veg list here in one list. I want all the fruit list here in separate list. Because here we are getting some confusion. Maybe like assume that, okay, after onion, maybe there is apple. So maybe there is a confusion. It is difficult to get. So slowly what we are understanding, we are separately writing that all the list of veg in one list, all the list of fruits in one list. Like that we are separating now. Getting my point? So what is the advantage now? We are separately writing it and then simply you can access with the index. Now tell me how we can get all the veg list here if I write like this. How we get this all the veg list now? Hmm. Index number 0. Okay, I'm just writing now print veg list, veg fruit list of 0. So what is the meaning for 0 now? 0 means in entire list it understands, okay, this is the first list. It's a index number 0. It's a index number 1. So 0, it prints all the list of veg and then 1, it will print all the list of fruits. Now I can see this is all the list of veg and this is all the list of fruits. Like that you can divide it. But again now, let's assume that I don't want to print all the fruit list. I want to display only banana. I want to get only banana. So how to get only banana now? Or how to get only carrot? Yes. So can we use now colon here? No, it's not colon. So try to understand here, right? This is something we have a list of list. So when I use 0, it is printing one list. You please try to concentrate the topic. Okay, so everyone ignore these names. These names, maybe it will change again. So please try to concentrate the topic. I have a two list now in my one variable. And when I use 0, I got first list. And when I use 1, I got second list. And then now, if you see, this is a complete one list now. With 0, we got this because it is treating this 0 is a first value. 1 is a second value. And now I'm expecting what? Only the first value again from this list. So first value means 0. So 0 printing the complete list. From this list, I want only first value, 0 of 0. So when I use 0, then again of 0, now it will give you only the first item, which is carrot. Similarly, if you want to print something banana, then you can use 1 of minus 1. I hope you understood this. If you have a list of lists, how to access that? We use like this. Is that clear now? Yes or no? Yeah. Now, I'm just writing here, again, going back to this my list. And then my list, it contains these values. And if I print my list, we can see my list here. And then if you check ID of my list, it is printing something. It is printing something. The reference of this, right? This is a reference number, reference object reference. Now, since a list is immutable, we can change any value here. I want to change value 10 with 100. So my underscore list of 0 equal to 100. Now 0, which is actually 10, the value 10 replaced with 100. Now I can see the output here. The my list it prints what? 100 and then 20, 30, 40, Python 2.5. But the reference not changed. The reference it is same, right? So whatever the value, if you want to replace in the list, simply you can use the index number equal to value. It will replace that particular value in the original object. And values only we can see the value it will change here, like 10 replaced with 100, but the reference is same. So that's the reason list is a mutable, right? Now there are two questions here. One, if I write my list and then my list 1 equal to these items, okay? My list 1 values are same. My list 1 values are same. Now tell me, is my list reference and my list reference, sorry, my list and my list 1 reference, is both are same or different? I'm trying to print my list 1 and then here my list 1. So I'm asking now, values are same in my list, same in my list 1. Okay, no. My list and my list 1, And my list I am writing here and ID of my list. My list one I am writing and ID of my list one. So tell me, is this reference same or different? Values are same, right? But why it is different? See, why I'm asking this, if I create A equal to 10, B equal to 10, the reference of ID of B, is it same or not? ID of A, ID of B, is it same or not? Values are same, reference also same. But why here it is not same then? It is immutable. For the mutable objects, values, even values are same, it will not carry the same reference. Why? The only reason is, assume that if it is carrying the same reference for both, it is a mutable object. I'm going to add some value for my list after some time. Assume I'm adding after 2.5, I'm going to add something, let's say Linux, I'm adding that text. If it is using the same reference for the both variables, if I add something Linux here in my list, it will also add in my list one in case if it is using the same reference, right? But here I wantedly created two different variables. See, I created two different variables. This is another variable here. If you create a two different variable, since it's a mutable, the purpose may be I'm going to add something here. I'm going to delete something here. If it is using the same reference, whatever you are adding in my list, it will add in my list one as well. Whatever you delete in my list one, it will delete in my list as well. It should not like that, right? That is the reason all the mutable objects, it will not carry the same object. If you create a new variable, try to understand. If you create a new variable with the same values also. So I created new variable with the same values, but it creates a new object every time. But for immutable, we're not editing anything, we're not adding anything. That's the reason it is carrying the same object. Now you can see this. So here, first my list reference is this, my list one reference is this. Both are different. If you check ID of A, ID of B, we can see the address, both are same here. Getting my point? I hope this is clear now. So no confusion here, right? Now, but there is a concept here in list also. Assume sometimes maybe I want to use the same reference. Okay, I want to use the same reference. Why? I don't know, some reason like I want to take some backup. If you are taking backup, that is different story. But I want to just use two different variables with the same object. How it is possible? Generally into recursion. So we know list variable, even if you are using the same values, it always creates a different reference. But the question is, I want to use the same reference, my list reference in my list one. That is possible if you are using the existing variable into new variable. Okay, so existing variable into new variable. If you are using like this, and then it is possible. Now I'm trying to print here both now. See this. Now what it means now, it will just carry the same thing because we are using the existing variable into new variable. It will copy entire thing. It will copy entire thing, which means values including with the reference it will copy. Now you can see the output here. My list values here. and reference is this. My list one values and reference both are same. Getting my point? So there is a concept of, in the list there is a concept of hard copy and in Python. Okay. So you try to understand this, what is deep copy and what is shallow copy. Deep copy, and then we have a shallow copy. Both we are using for copy purpose only, but there is a difference. Or else I'll give you task today. Your task is you need to understand what is the difference between shallow copy and deep copy. Okay. So let me just copy this. Your task is, see, we no need to by hand anything. We need to just search and then find out the relevant code. That is how we do it. You know, if you don't have the option to search and copy the code, no one can write in the entire world. Like no one knows that anything like, complete code. I'm just starting like, typing like this, not possible, right? Who knows that code? So everyone copy the code from Google, but we need to modify based on the requirement. Of course, nowadays everyone using like AI tools, something like ChatGPT like that. But even if you copy the same code, we cannot go ahead and use the same code. We need to modify based on the requirement. So if you understand that while copying code or while like searching some specific topic, if you understand what exactly that is doing, like here example is deep copy, shallow copy. What is this deep copy? What is the shallow copy? And then what is the example for the deep copy and shallow copy? So this is your task. You try today and try to understand, search in Google somewhere and try to understand the difference. Okay, and ping me in the group. After some time I will enable that. But now I'm going to use something here. See, we observed that when we use the existing variable into new variable, it is copying entire thing, including with the reference. What is the problem now? The problem is, let's say if I'm trying to modify something in my list, 0 equal to 100, it modified in my list as well as in my list 1. The reason is what? It is using my list and my list 1, both are using same reference. You can see I modified in like a my list of 0, where it reflect in original object. So in the original object 0, 10 it replaced with 100. So that is actually what my list, both my list 1 as well. See, but I don't want to do this. Either you can create like this, but even I don't want to create. It is taking some time, okay, to create like this. So in Python 3, it introduced one concept called copy. Is a one method, dot copy method. So I'm using now, instead of just existing variable into new variable, I'm using dot copy. What is this dot copy? The dot copy method, it will copy only the values but not the reference. The dot copy method, it will copy only the values, not the methods. Cannot hear? Shashank, how about others? Can you hear me? Okay, great. Thank you, Satya. Okay, now see, what is dot copy method? It is copying only the values but not the reference. So my list 1, values are same, but references are different now. What is the advantage? If you are trying to change something in MyList, it will only reflect in MyList but not in MyList 1 because we used a copy method. See now, MyList 10 replaced with 100. MyList 1 still it is 10 only. Because copy method, it copies only the values but not the reference. So you need to understand now, if I use that copy method, if only the values it copied, what it means? Is it a deep copy or shallow copy? You have to verify that. Then you will get idea, okay, what exactly it is. And there is a one more, we can also import copy module. So you try to check it, you will get idea and try to understand that. If not, we will discuss again. But I'm just using now one method, copy method. So copy method, it is using to copy all the values, but not the reference. So how to check all the list of list methods? Go to Python interactive mode. Just type dir of list. So when we type dir of list, we can see from here, these are the list methods. So list methods. So we know methods, method is actually what? That specific class. List is a one class here. The methods, whatever we are actually covering, that is for one specific class. So only list class you can use these methods. You cannot use these methods in string. You cannot use these methods for tuple. You cannot use these methods for dictionary. These methods only dedicated for that specific class. So we created, so we have these methods only in the list. Or if you are creating list variable, you can use these methods. One method we used already, that is copy method. We understood what is copy method, right? So copy method is used to copy only the values from the list. Basically, not the reference. That is the meaning. Now, what is append? So we'll try to understand what is append. And the difference between append and extend, we'll try to understand. So append method, the name itself, we can see append always at end. Append means at end. Whenever if you are using append method, the value it will add at end, but only one value. So append method is used to add a new value at end of the list. What is the syntax? So since we are going to add some value, there should be some argument. So the list name, append of some argument, which is some value here. So mylist.append, whatever the method you are using here, it will reflect in original object, which means it is returning back to the original object. That is the reason you cannot print like this. If you are using print of mylist.append of something 100, you will get the value none, which means it is not printing anything here. The reason is it is returning back to the original object. But if you are printing something here, this function or this method performing something, that result it is returning back to the original object. That is the reason in the print nothing is there. None means null value. Here nothing we have. Then how? This is not the way to write, right? So the way how we write variable name dot append of 100. Where it written now? It returned to the original object. From where we can get this? From the original variable. Now if you see my list it contains after 2.500. because it is returning back to the object. You need to get from the original object only, means original variable only. You cannot print from here directly. Now we can see the value 100. But append, how many values we can append at a time? Only one value. Let's say if I write something 100 comma 200, not possible, we'll get the error because this method, it accepts only one argument. Now you can see this type error. Append takes exactly one argument, 2 given. But can I provide this 100, 200 as a one argument like this? Yes, we can provide. This is possible. But what will be the output now? After 100, 100, 200, it is going to add as a single value inside the list or another list. It is adding like a single value. Append always one value only. It is trying to add as a one value. If you provide as a list, it will add that complete list as a single value. But if you are writing directly 100 comma 200, not acceptable because this method defined like that, right? So here append, it accepts only one value. I hope it is clear now, right? Now let's see extend. So without extend, is it possible to add multiple values? It is possible. Then how? Then how? Let's say, okay, now this is my task. Again, I'm going back for our simple understanding. I have a something page list. And then I'm going to write now, instead of writing two in a single variable, I'm going to write like this, page list and something fruit list. Okay. What I want to do now, I want to add this fruit list to the veg list directly. I want to add this fruit list directly to the veg list. Then how to add now? Yeah. So someone not happy with this spelling. Okay. So now how to add this fruit list into veg list here? If I use append, what happens now? It will add directly as a single list. Means it will add this apple, banana with one another list. But I don't want like that. I want to add one by one. After garlic, apple I want to add. Then after apple, I want to add banana one by one. Concatenation is possible, but concatenation, if you are using plus symbol, again problem is what? It's not going to add in a same object. I want to add apple, banana in the veg list in the same object. That is the task. Okay. In the same object, in the veg list, whatever the object now we have, see this. And whatever the ID is on. So when I add the value, we should get the same object after adding the values apple, banana also. But apple, banana, I want to add one by one, not as a list. Yeah, you can use two times wedge list dot append apple something append banana. But in case if I have a 20 values here, is that possible? 20 times 20 lines of code again required, right? If I have a 20 fruit list, it is difficult. No, I don't want to use extend at this moment. What is the use of extend? We are understanding now. That's the reason I'm just asking how to add these values. Even if you provide index number like 0, 1, 2, again it is taking time. Assume I have 50 fruit list in this fruit list variable. Do you think like indexing is possible again? 50 times we need to provide, right? Using for loop, how to do that? Now you guys understood using loop, for loop. Now how to use that for loop? How to use that for loop now? How to use that for loop? What is the code? Okay, now just try to understand. What is our task? I want to add the fruit list into wedge list. Yes or no? I want to add fruit list into wedge list. So generally, since we are going to add a new item in wedge list, we should add something wedge underscore list dot append of something, right? This is how we are going to add. But we observe that, okay, append is accepting only one value. It is not possible to add all the values, whatever we have in the fruit list. But we just observe that, okay, there is a possibility we can use for loop. But the for loop now, is it for wedge list or fruit list? The for loop we should use for fruit list, for I in fruit list. Okay. Let's say I'm trying to print first. If I print what it prints, all the fruit list it will print. Apple, banana, it is printed. I don't want to print. What is our job? What is our task here? I want to append. Where? In the wedge list. So wedge list dot append of, right? Wedge list dot append of. What need to append? I. What I contains? I contains first time apple, second time banana. Use that I here. See how simple it is. For loop, for I in fruit list. This fruit list I don't want to print. I want to add this fruit list in wedge list. So wedge list dot append of I. So it is iteration every time one value it is taking. Append, it will accept one value and it will append now. After appending, try to check the result. Print. I'm trying to print wedge list now. Okay. See the output. It added apple, banana. And is it added in the same reference? Of course, it is in the same reference. Now check this. What is the reference previously before adding? And I added two values after adding same reference. You got my point. So without extend, if you want to add with append, multiple values possible if you know the for loop. See the importance of for loop now. Getting my point? So for loop, if you are aware of for loop, and wherever like the requirements like this, we can use that. So here the requirement is I want to append multiple. But Python says that, okay, why you need to write this 2 3 lines of code? Instead of using that, use extend method. What is the extend now? Okay, now understand this. What is extend? It is used to add one or more items or simply like more values into list. So simply, if you are appending one value, we use append. If we want to append more than one value, we go with extend. But extend also accepts only one argument. See, append also it accepts only one argument, but extend also accepting only one argument. Now tell me then, here, tell me this. I am using my list and I'm trying to use my list dot extend of 100 and then I'm using print my list. Now tell me what will be the output now. Is it accept or not accept? Is it accepts or not accept? I want to add one value. Yes, please. Why no? See, I'm actually trying to add one value. Extend also accepts only one argument. I'm just trying to add this 100. Is it accepts or not accepts? Everyone saying accepts. Someone saying I think yes. Okay. Now, now just try to understand this. Now just try to understand this. Please try to concentrate here. What is the reason we are using now extend? Something I am trying to add value. But append we are using to add one value. And extend we understood generally since we append we are already using for one value to add, then extend is something more values, right? Okay. Now we observed this code as of now, right? We just discussed this code. What is that code? Something I have a veg list and then fruit list. I want to add that veg list into fruit, sorry, the fruit list into veg list. We used something for loop combination and then the complete items it added. Now assume I have only one fruit. I have only one fruit. If you have only one fruit, first of all, it is not required for loop. Yes or no? But assume even if it is not required for loop, I am wantedly using this for loop for the fruit list. Is it accepts now? For loop, can I use this for the fruit list? Yes or no? Or okay, maybe I'll give you simple question then. Maybe if you get confusion here. I have a value 10. I'm trying to use print for I in A and then print I. What is the result now? What is the result here? So for one value not required for loop. Okay. What is the result for this now? Badrinath, Sumati saying error. Badrinath 10, Varshit 1 to 10. Then you guys are not revising the for loop concept what we discussed. In the last session, we discussed for loop, right? Before for loop, I explained almost more than 10 minutes this. For loop accepts only iterable object, I told. What are the iterable objects? What are the non-iterable objects we discussed? Now I am writing a value 10. Is it iterable or non-iterable? It's an integer value. Iterable or non-iterable? It is non-iterable. So what will be the output? It will give you error here. Int object is not iterable because for loop not understanding this int value. Now, if I use extend method, extend of 100, extend method internally it is using for loop. Extend method is what? Internally it is using for loop with append combination. So these two lines code internally it is using. So instead of writing explicitly these two lines, it provided a different method called extend. But what is extend internally? Behavior is it is using for loop with the combination of extend. Now I'm using extend of 100. What is the meaning for that? For I in 100, print I, something append I. Is it possible? Not possible. Why it is not possible? Internally, extend is using for loop, and for loop is saying that int object is not iterable. So we got a type error when we use extend method, but who provided this error message? For loop is providing this. So you need to know internally what behavior it is doing. So extend method internally it is behaving for loop with a combination of extend. So whenever if you are using extend method, you should also know this. Extend method accepts only iterable objects. The reason is internally it is using for loop. Let's say if you want to add one value, that is possible, but the value should be in the list format. Now you can see it is adding one value. You can add one value also, but how? It should be an iterable object. I hope it is clear now. Okay, you can try like multiple values also, similar style. Let's say I'm writing a new list, something 11, 22, 33, 44. I want to add this new list. You can provide this new. Internally, the extend method is using for loop, and then for loop with the combination of append, it is keep on adding that. Clear, right? Okay. So try these methods, and then we'll see in the next session the remaining methods, and also we'll try to complete tuple and dictionaries as well. Yeah, sure. I will share this notepad and script files. Thank you all then. Have a great day.